I am so late to the party, but you know what they say, never late than ever. Right? Hello, my most beautiful friends. So for today's video, I know I'm really behind on reviewing this, but I have the brand new Natasha Denona Bloom palette. Y'all told me not to buy this. Y'all were like, come here, come here, come here. Bestie, do not waste your money. Do not buy it. And I was like, I bought it. I bought it. So we're going to see if this was actually worth this. I paid $83 for this because I did pay for 2-day express shipping, but Sephora had different plans for me. So we're going to see, was this worth my money? So you guys want to see what this is all about. Is this worth the price point? Then definitely keep on watching. Alrighty guys, so I want to start off by saying I am so sorry for being so far behind on reviewing this palette. I'm sure like 500 other people have already reviewed it by now on YouTube, but I'm very far behind because my body chose this past week to be incredibly sick. And I'm still not 100%, but I'm here. I'm pushing through. I'm on medication. I'm on actually 2 different type of medications, but I'm here because I want to work and I need to work, and I've missed way too much of it. So here is the Natasha Denona Bloom palette right here. Let me tell you guys what this palette's all about. The Bloom eyeshadow palette showcases floral-inspired hues encased in her handcrafted watercolor packaging. It includes peachy corals to rich burgundies to complementary mauves, a versatile array of warm tone shades that create everything from soft, sparkling doll eyes to expressive glam looks. Also featuring 6 creamy mattes, 2 silky mattes, 2 metallics, and 5 sparkling foil shades in her iconic formula. The Bloom palette eyeshadow palette is designed to deliver professional quality results for all skin levels. All skill levels. I think I said skin. Did I say skin? I think I did. Okay, so this palette actually does retail for $69, but I decided not to buy this on the Natasha Denona website because normally they take forever with shipping. But if you guys wanted to, you guys actually can use my code Allie to save you guys 15% off anything on Natasha Denona's website. But I did pick this up during the Sephora. I did pick this up in the Sephora app when it was the 24-hour exclusive. You know, you could pick this up right now, get it a day early, and then I paid for 2-day express shipping to get it here on Thursday. I was so excited for it. And then Sephora had other plans, and it's like, bestie, we're not going to get there until late Friday night. I did reach out to customer service. They were super sweet. They did refund me my shipping, but it's officially here. Now, the reason why I was so hesitant on getting this originally is because the color story. You guys know that I'm not really a true neutral girl. I do like having neutral palettes. I do like doing neutral looks, but I'm more of a colorful person. I love having colorful eyeshadow palettes. I love doing colorful eyeshadow looks. And when I saw this, I found this to be just a bit disappointing. Now, looking at it in person, it definitely looks very different from the promo image. Here's the promo image that you guys see right here. And then this is the image that Trend Mood posted. When I talked about this last week, my new makeup releases, I was like, these are so different. I wasn't entirely sure how I'd feel about it. So I actually do have a few comparisons. There are some that I don't have because I did declutter them this past year, but I could still put some pictures next to them. So I saw a lot of people were comparing this to the I Need a Nude palette. I Need a Warm palette from Natasha Denona. So this is the I Need a Warm palette right here, okay? And this is the Bloom palette. Putting them side by side, maybe like one shade is similar. I will put a little square, maybe one shade similar. I'll circle the ones that are kind of similar. But if you actually look at them side by side, they're really not that similar. Like maybe one shade in here, I would say, is a pretty similar shade. Maybe like 1 or 2 shades in here are pretty similar. But the rest, they actually are quite different. This is a true neutral warm tone palette. So I don't necessarily see how this fits in because this does have a lot of like peachy, curly vibes to it. Then if you compare it to the I Need a Nude palette, here's the I Need a Nude, where it's going to be more of the cool tone palette. Again, put them side by side, maybe 1 to 2 shades that are similar, but the rest are different. It's a very, very, very different color story when you actually compare the two together. Now, when I first saw this palette, the one that I actually thought looked a lot like it was actually the Clay Cool palette from Colourpop. It's a 10-pan palette. This was supposed to be a bronzy cool, it's supposed to be a bronzy warm tone palette. I did own this, but I did declutter it back in December because I didn't get a use out of it. When I look at the two together, I can definitely see a stark resemblance between the two because they're both a bronzy warm tone palette. I could also see very similar to Smoke and Roses palette. Now this is going to be a like 24 pan palette that retails for $35, so definitely half the price, and you get a lot more shades. This to me would be very comparable to maybe what I think this palette looks like. At least that's how it looks like. I did have this palette again, but I did declutter it. They're both going to be more of a warm tone palette with pops of peaches, corals, mauves inside that palette. Another palette actually similar to this one is probably the Colourpop by the Rose palette. I know I'm kind of comparing these to Colourpop, but they're the only ones that make a lot of like monochromatic palettes like this. So this would be another great comparison. Even though it's a 9 pan palette, it's definitely a lot smaller size. This does have comparison. This does have very similar colors, again at a third of the cost. And I really do love Colourpop's formula as well. So for me personally, I don't necessarily have a dupe like this in my collection. So this is like, I don't have a dupe like this in my collection, but what I will say, this is supposed to be like their flower spring inspired palette. Personally, what I wish that this palette would have had is just pops of greens. That's what I would like to see when it comes to like a spring floral palette, is pops of greens really represent a flower, represent the stem, the roses, the different colors, like do like a real springy vibe palette. I feel like that'd be a little bit more unique for Natasha Denona, just because she does do a lot of palettes like this with it. I need a warm, I need a nude, you know, she does, I need a warm, I need a nude. Like she does a lot of very similar concepts. Even though they're different color stories, they are similar concepts. I just think it'd be really cool if this would have had some pops of like bright greens and like some pops of greens in here, maybe a little pastel yellow or pastel lavender. Like that's just my personal take. So I'm gonna zoom you guys in. We're gonna do 2 different eye looks with this. I'm gonna do like a daytime eye look and maybe like a nighttime eye look, because this is what it says you can do an everyday and then a nighttime glam. So we're gonna try to do best of both. So I'm gonna zoom you guys in and we're gonna get this started. Okay, so I did lay down some like concealer on the face. If you guys see like just stuff on my face, it's really hard to tell. It's because I have had a week, y'all. Let me tell you, I have had a week. So last time I filmed a YouTube video was actually Tuesday morning, and I was telling you guys in that video when I was doing like a 3 looks, 3 palettes, that I had like a really raging sore throat, that I was like, oh no, I think this girl from this concert that I went to that was coughing like the whole freaking time next to me. I was like, I think she might have gotten me sick. I reached out to Paige. Paige is fine. But little did I know what would end up transpiring from that. So I woke up Wednesday, and I work at Disney Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. So if you guys did not know, now you guys know that's my schedule. But I always pre-film heavily on the weekends so that you guys would never even like have to miss an upload. So I'm going to go, by the way, I actually do love the front packaging of this. I think it's really pretty. It's very reminiscent of this one. Very pretty. I'm going to go into the shade right here called Floss. And we're going to do halo eye look for both sides. We're going to go in floss right here. We're going to do the inner and outer corner with this. But anyway, so I woke up Wednesday morning and I was like, ooh, I'm not really feeling so hot. I felt incredibly achy. Like my body felt so achy. And I was like, ooh, I feel like just not good. My sore throat was still present, but not nearly as bad as it was the day before. So I was like, okay, maybe what do I do? So I was like, you know what? I work in an office, and the last thing I want to do is infect my office with sickness, because that's not fair to my coworkers. It's a tiny little space. There really isn't much room to move around, and I just don't want to get somebody else sick. I was like, I'm not doing that. So I decided to call out, and I'm so glad I did, because I really started to feel really, really achy. And I was like, oh, I do not feel good. And then from there, my nose started to get a little stuffy, and I started sneezing a lot. And I was like, okay, sounds like I'm getting the common cold. And then the headache kicked in. When that headache kicked in, y'all, that shit about took me out. That shit was so powerful, so strong. I was like, this is horrendous. Like, this is absolutely like horrendous. And so I had a headache, I had a stuffy nose, and I had body aches like there's no tomorrow. So I was like, I'm going to call out. And then I started checking my temperature because my eyes started burning, and usually my eyes burn. Normally it indicates to me that I have some sort of fever going on. So I checked my temperature, and of course I had a temperature at that point of like 100.4 or 5, whatever. I'm going to go into the shade called Robin to kind of blend that out. So I was like, definitely have a fever. So I was like, all right, let me just kind of see how I feel. I have the at-home COVID test. So I was like, let me just take a COVID test to be safe. And it came back negative. And I was like, all right, well, at least that came back negative. Even though I know that those are not as like efficient. I was like, let me just, just take this to be safe. Now, I also knew that everybody at my job has been getting sick. They have been coming down with influenza B. And I was like, I better not be freaking getting the freaking flu. So, my coworker texted me and she's like, how are you feeling? And I was like, oh, I'm feeling really shitty. So I was like, I'm just gonna, kind of wing it, see how I feel, and then kind of just like go to bed and take it very easy. I'm just gonna kind of relax today. Thursday rolls around, I wake up in the morning and I have been sweating all night. I have been, tossing and turning all night, not being able to breathe. I have been coughing. I have had body aches. I've had a fever. So I was like, you know what? Let me just not go into work today either because I've not been 24-hour clear. I don't feel like doing that to my coworkers again. It's not fair. I'm going to take the shade right here called Petal to also blend with that. I was like, that's not fair. I'm just going to take it very, very, very easy because I'm not doing that to my coworker. So I decided to call out on Thursday as well. So I was like, oh, I should be fine. Let me tell you, Thursday was the worst freaking day for me. Thursday was a day out of pure hell for me because, y'all, let me tell you. Okay, so I have a lot of stomach issues, okay? IBS runs in my family. Diverticulitis runs in my family. Like, I have tummy issues. I always have, and I definitely think I have IBS. I am waiting to go see a doctor to go get tested just to make sure. I want to go get like a colonoscopy because TikTok has convinced me that I'm dying of cancer, essentially. TikTok has convinced me that I'm dying of cancer. But on Thursday, I felt like absolute shit. And I'm going to go in with some glitter glue. I felt like absolute shit, just like absolute garbage. And I had a fever, I had body aches, I had a runny nose, I couldn't breathe. I lost my sense of smell. I completely lost my sense of smell. So I had Corey go get another COVID test because like I need to be safe. Lost my sense of smell. And I had such an atrocious headache. And I was like, this is like on some other level. I'm going to go right here into the shade called Fleur. This is going to be our daytime look. So I was like, what is going on? So I go use the bathroom, and when I happened to look down, because I just happened to look down the toilet, because I was like, I did all that pushing to drop off a little tiny pebble in the toilet. Like, what the heck? Why did I push so long? Like, what is happening? So I just happened to look down to see what was the hugest strain in my life, just to find out it was a little freaking pebble. And when I look down, I see blood dripping to the toilet, and I literally lost it. I burst out sobbing and I said, this is it. TikTok told me if you see these 5 signs, you got cancer. That's it. Oh my God. And I lost it. Mind you, I already felt like death. Okay. I felt horrible and I lost it. I called Corey panicking. He's at work, mind you. He went to work. I called him panicking. And then I go to wipe myself from front to back, and then I was like, oh my God, my period started, and my period was 2 days early, and I was like, oh my God, okay, well, I thought I was dying for no reason. So, I mean, to be fair, I do want to go get tested. Colon cancer does not run in my family, but TikTok has convinced me otherwise, because I feel like I'm a hypochondriac a lot of times. So anyway, that happened, but then I started to feel just like incredibly worse, like just absolutely horrible. I checked my temperature and my temperature was back. This time it started off when I first took it at 99.7, and then I took it like 30 minutes later and it had jumped to 100.8, and I was like, oh my God. So I decided to let my work know that I would not be coming in again because I had missed Wednesday. I had missed Thursday, and now I was going to be missing Friday. My work is like, please stay home. I'm going to go in the shade right here called Crisp. They're like, please stay home. We do not want you coming in. And at that same time, one of my coworkers texted me, and she was like, I don't feel good. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? She's like, I went home with a horrible sore throat. And I said, oh fuck, that's kind of how I started. And then she went home and she took her temperature and she had 101.3, and I was like, oh Jesus. Like, I was like, it's not from me, because I hadn't seen her in a week. So I was like, there's no way it's from me. So Corey came home from work. He brought home another COVID test, and he also brought a like flu A and B test too, and I took both. Came back negative. At that time, Corey's like, I'm starting not to feel good, and I was like, oh God, no, like what is happening? So I woke up Friday morning feeling like absolute shit, and I did something that I like never do, because I hate the doctors. Okay, I'm telling you guys right now, I hate the doctors. I am not one to ever voluntarily go to like a minute clinic, any of those type of situations, because I have that fear of people throwing up. And I've been to the emergency room last year where I was stuck in a situation where multiple people were doing around me, and it was a very traumatic experience for me, needless to say. So I was like, I'm not going to go to like a minute clinic because I was just so freaking scared. But if I went to like urgent care or minute clinics, like I would come across somebody with like the freaking norovirus or something like that. Like I feel like that'd be my freaking luck. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm not doing it. But I felt so bad. I was so achy. My fever broke the night, but my fever broke that morning. So I was very grateful I didn't have a fever. But I could not smell anything to save my life. Like I had no sense of smell, nothing. And I was like, what is going on? So I went to an urgent care. I went to like a minute clinic urgent care. And I was like, I need to go get tested properly because maybe my COVID test, maybe my flu test are just coming back in, like a false negative, and maybe this is exactly like what I have. Because I was like, why would I lose my sense of smell? Like why would that be a thing? You know what I mean? So I was like, why would that be a sense of thing? I'm gonna go into the shade right here called Fluorescence to blend that out just a little bit more. I was like, why would that be a thing? Like just, you know what I mean? So I went to, like I said, a minute clinic, and I put a mask on, and I have not worn a mask in God knows how long, but like I wanted to be respectful for those who were around me just to make sure I wasn't getting them sick or anything like that. I came in at 11 a.m. and they didn't see me until almost 12, and I was like, this sucks. Like I had to wait so long to be seen, but I guess that's to be expected. So I thought like this was just going to be kind of like a in and out thing. No, it took me like an hour to be seen. And the person brought me back and they're like, okay, this is what we're going to swab you. We're going to do like, kind of like what they did back in the day when they were testing for COVID and for the flu. We're going to do like a nose swab. We're going to go in. We're not going to go in as deep as before, but you might feel like a little tickling. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I thought to myself, I haven't done like this type of like testing in so long. I remember back in the day when we used to go to those like COVID sites, you could sit in your car and they'd come up in the hazmat suit and they'd freaking, violate your nostrils by sticking that swab so far in there. You're like, you know what I mean? You remember those days? Oh my God. Okay. So I thought it was gonna be like a similar experience to that. And that guy was like, no, it's not like that at all. And I'm at this point kind of like, I haven't done this in forever, trying to make jokes of the situation. Cause I'm like, this is just so freaking awkward. And that guy did not care to entertain a conversation with me. And I was like, yeah, everybody at my job has influenza B. And I'm like, yeah, so, it's been so long. You remember the times that you were sitting in the car and they would just like, ooh, up your nose. And you're just like, can't breathe. And you had to sit there and you waited for like hours of testing. No, that guy did not want to entertain a conversation. He was just very getting everything ready, getting his getting everything ready, getting all the stuff ready, had me verify all my information was correct, did not care to have a conversation with me. And I was like, fine, I guess I'll just go fuck myself, buddy. Like shit, I'm trying to communicate to you because I feel awkward. I don't feel comfortable in the situation. So I'm trying to make myself feel better. Talk to me, you know what I mean? But he didn't want to. So anywho, we're gonna do the other eye now. I am going to go do the same style look, but we're going to switch up the shades because I told you this is like a daytime look right here. And now we're going to do like a nighttime look. I will say it's pretty. It's definitely not my fave, but it is pretty. We're going to clean this up. So anywho, we're going to go into the shade right here called Clover. Really pretty deeper mauve shade. So he pulls the swab out. He shows me how big the swab is. And he's like, we're not going to go as deep as last time. So I said, okay, we're not going to go as deep as we used to do. And I said, okay, cool. So he has me pull my mask down. And he's like, okay, we're going to do the right nostril, then the left nostril. And we're going to do it for 10 seconds each. And I said, okay, cool. So he takes the swab and he sticks it in. And that man lied to me because he's like, oh, we don't go in so deep. Bull freaking shit. I felt that up here. I felt it. And literally, I just went, oh, and I made like some noise escaped my mouth. Like I had no control over it. I realized that about myself, that sometimes I make noises that I have no control over. So he sticks it up and he's starting to swab. And I literally feel like my eyes watering, tears are coming down because I'm looking up like this. And then he gets over to my left side. And when he gets over my left side, literally my face scrunches up so much and I'm just going, like I'm not doing well with it. I'm not doing well. I'm making all sorts of noises because I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. And my eyes are watering like crazy, like freaking crazy. So he gets done and he hands me a tissue and he goes, you're all set. And I was like, oh, but wait a minute, like, how long is it going to take? He goes, it's not going to take very long. If you just kind of want to hang around so you could, like, see what the results are, and I can kind of go from there. I said, okay, cool. So I leave there, and I go back to the little waiting room. And maybe within, like, 15 minutes, I get a call back from the guy. And he brings me back in. He's like, hey, I just want to let you know your test came back negative for COVID, and your test came back negative for influenza A and B. And I said, okay, so what do you think it is? He goes, oh, 100% you have a sinus infection. And I said, oh, really? He goes, yeah, not only do you have a sinus infection, but you also present symptoms of the common cold on top of that. So I would say you have a mix between a pretty bad sinus infection with a really bad common cold right on top. So unfortunately for you, there's only so much we can do. We're going to give you antibiotics that you can take to help to clear out the sinus infection. And then you also need to go get a decongestion, over-the-counter decongestion, not the one you find here, but an actual, like, one you need to go talk to the pharmacist. Get one of those over-the-counter ones. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, are they pill forms or the liquid? He said, well, it kind of just depends, but most of them are just pill forms. Why? And I said, because I can't do pills. Like, I am a child. I can't take pills. He goes, okay, well, we do offer some antibiotics in a liquid form. I said, I'll take it. And he said, you might need to just go ahead and take the pill. And I was like, is it like amoxicillin? Because amoxicillin, they do give you in a liquid form. He said, I'll see what I can do. He goes, it probably would not be amoxicillin. So, anywho, needless to say, I got the pill. I did get an off-brand generic one because I cannot do big pills. I seriously, like, I cannot handle it. My body just does not allow me to. Like, I choke on them. And then I'm going to go into the shade called Rin to help to blend that out. Like, I seriously just can't. And then when it comes to taking, like, over-the-counter liquid medication, again, I am a child and I'm a baby about it. Like, Corey was having me take Dayquil. And Dayquil, the flavor that he got is freaking cherry. If anyone knows, if you know, you know, I cannot stand anything cherry scented or flavor scented because as a child, I had a really, really, really bad tonsillitis, and all my parents gave me, not their fault, was cherry flavor anti-nausea medication and scrambled eggs and fruit punch, and I can never have any of those ever again for the rest of my life. And my parents had to replace their carpet because of me. So needless to say, I can't do anything cherry scented, cherry flavor, anything like that. Ugh. So I have not really been taking the Dayquil or NyQuil to help me out during this time because the pills are way too big. I choke on them. And then the liquid medication is horrible, but I've been able to take the decongestion because I've been forcing myself to, and the antibiotics. So I'm definitely on the mend, but I've had just the weirdest time because not only do I have a really bad cold and a sinus infection, but I got my period 2 days early on top of it. It was a trifecta. And now I feel really bad because Corey's now really sick. So he has already kind of been battling a sinus infection and he was on the mend. But I think I just made his symptoms worse. So he had to go get tested and he came back negative for the flu and COVID. But he also now has sinus infection and a cold. So he's now on the same medication as me. And I feel so bad. I'm like, I'm so sorry, bro. And I know sinus infections are like not contagious at all. But like I said, he had already been battling one. He had already been like kind of battling one. And then I got him sick with whatever virus cold I had. He now got himself, and I just feel incredibly terrible. This is going to be really messy. We're going to clean it up, that I got him sick. And it was just, for me, it was just the oddest sensation because I have never missed this much work. I think the last time I missed this much work ever was when Kaya was a puppy. I'm going to go into the shade right here called Lush. And she yanked out of my hand with her leash on, and when she did that, she took my pinky with it because my hand was wrapped around the leash, but it wrapped around my pinky. So it's why my pinky, I don't know if you guys can tell, see how this one goes straight, this one curves off like this way, it turns this way. So when Kaya was a puppy, she took her leash she took off on her leash and she took off running, and you can see where my pinky now leans that way. Like, do you see how it leans? She took off running, and unfortunately it took my pinky with it, and the leash wrapped around, and I just remember my skin right here pulled all the way down. I was bleeding and I was in a lot of pain, but I was more focused on getting her because like I said, she was only like, I don't know, a couple months old at that time. She was a baby still. And I was in a lot of pain for a week, like a lot of pain. I couldn't move my finger. It was completely swollen. I thought I broke my finger. Like I literally thought I broke my finger. And so I went to the ER a week after the incident because I was just in so much pain. And I remember telling the lady I was in so much pain. And I remember I kept feeling shooting pain from here all the way down to the back of my arm. And you know, the person that was at the ER, she was not the friendliest because she took my pinky and she slammed it on the x-ray machine. And I was like, ah, because I thought it was broken. Turns out it wasn't broken. Turns out I had fractured a ligament. So my ligament was I fractured my ligament. So I had to wear, if you guys go back, like on videos, I would say from like 2019, like that far back, maybe 2019, and like look at around the August time frame, you'll see that I wear this really weird cast from here. It's wrapped around my pinky and it goes all the way to like right here, and I have to wear the cast for like I have to wear the cast for a couple of weeks. And because of it, I was a server at the time, and because I was a server, I was not allowed to technically serve. I'm gonna go in the shade right here called Equinox right here. I was technically not allowed to serve because my my dominant hand was indisposed. I was not able to work at the time, so because I could technically serve, but I couldn't write. I had to carry everything in my left hand. It was just a bad time. So I was off of work for the first week, like completely off of work for the first week. I couldn't film YouTube. So me and Corey just played like Detroit Become Human, and that was like the first time in a long time I had been off of work for that long, and it felt so weird to not film YouTube, even though I was still very beginning stages of YouTube, so I wasn't even making money at the time. But not to be like serving and be out of work, it felt so weird. So for me, sitting around the couch this past week was horrible. Absolutely horrible. I had like my friends messaging me being like, do not film. Do not film. Like Betty Jean in particular reached out and she said, Allie, don't you dare freaking film. And I was like, well, one, you're not my real dad. But two, I was like, how do I not do that? But honestly, I felt like pure death that I just couldn't. Like I even left a community tab page post for you guys being like, I'm so sorry. I cannot film. I feel so bad. And you guys were so sweet, but I felt so guilty for not filming. So just know this was a huge first for me. So that's why I'm very behind on this filming of this Natasha Denona thing, because this came on Friday and I could have filmed on Friday, but I felt so shitty that all I did since Wednesday have been laying on my couch. I felt so bad. I didn't even read. And you guys know how much I love reading. I haven't even read a book. I haven't even opened my book because I have been feeling just so shitty. And it's just the oddest sensation for me to not even read. I just laid there and I watched all sorts of movies on Netflix. Me and Corey are rewatching The Handmaid's Tale because the 6th and final season comes out in April. Like, it has just been just the weirdest thing. I haven't eaten a lot. Today's the first day that I finally felt good enough. I washed my hair. I showered. Like, I'm starting to feel better. Not 100%, but I'm starting to feel better. And it's just, like I said, the oddest feeling to just sit there and not do anything. I felt incredibly guilty. And I'm like, why am I feeling guilty for being a human who needs time to rest? But then I thought, well, I feel guilty because now I'm not going to be making any money. I've missed my job because I'm hourly at my job. So there goes half my paycheck. And I'm not making money on YouTube because I'm not filming. And again, that's where I get my income from. So I've essentially kind of screwed us over when it comes to bills coming up. And I will have to find some way to make up for it or just kind of buckle down. But it's life, you know what I mean? Maybe I wouldn't feel as guilty if I made more or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's why I pushed through. And still filmed on Tuesday, even though I was really starting to feel bad because I knew I had to. But you know what? That's life. But I'm very grateful that I'm starting to feel better. So this is kind of where we are right here. I'm going to clean this up. I'm not very wowed with this. I think this look is prettier than this one, but I'm going to clean these up. I'm going to come back with my lashes on, makeup done. So maybe I'll get a better feel of it when I do that. But so far, it's okay. It's all right. Okay, so now that the makeup is on, I'm going to finish off the eye look. I did go in with the shade right here called Bark, just to kind of line my upper waterline so I can get it to mesh with my false lashes. So to finish off today's look, I think I'm going to go back into the shade right here called Clover. I think I'm going to go back into this shade, and then I am going to kind of blend it out with Robin and then Ren right here. Just kind of bring them all together. The eye look is almost like identical. Like I did use different mattes. This one just looks a little more of a matte version, and this one looks more sparkly, near like more sparkly, more of like a nice glitter topper. This just looks more like a plain Jane version, like day to night. Like this looks like I started this and then I finished it here. That's kind of like the vibe I'm getting. So we're gonna go into that Clover shade, like I said, very lightly. And we're gonna place this right here. I really hope that this palette doesn't stain. Usually with a lot of like a lot of like pinkies, pinky mauve shades and some purples, mostly pinks. I notice on me, pinks and reds, they do stain my eye quite a bit. So hopefully this does not do that. We're going to go into the shade right here called Crisp. We're just going to use that for the inner corner for both, and probably the brow bone as well. Just going to lightly take that and push this right here. Alright guys, so this is the final look. Let me go ahead and zoom you guys out and I'll give you guys my thoughts on the Bloom palette from Natasha Denona. Alrighty guys, so here's the final look right here with the Natasha Denona Bloom palette. I did 2 different eye looks. I feel like you honestly can't tell that I did 2 different eye looks. They look almost identical. The only difference is like just the center. You can see that one is more plain flat shimmer and the other one has more of a sparkly shimmer, which I do appreciate. I feel like if I had to pick a side, I'd definitely pick this side over this side. But let me go ahead and dive into this palette. First off, I think the outside packaging is super cute. I think it's a really pretty super outside packaging. It, like, you know, it's very cohesive with her other palettes where they definitely have a very similar feel when it comes to the outside packaging. On the inside, you're gonna have 15 coral peachy mauve shades in this palette. You're gonna get a mix between mattes and shimmers. I will say the mattes are beautiful. I really do enjoy Natasha Denona matte formula. They're so silky, they're so blendable, they're really easy to work with, definitely have some fallout. The shimmers are just not my favorite. I know that online it says that they're the iconic shimmers. For me personally, I just think her shimmers are very just average. I think because I'm so used to playing with indie brands, their shimmers are just top tier for me, that playing with this, I'm just kind of like, not really worth it in my opinion. Though the shade Lush and the shade Equinox, those are beautiful. Those are like nicey, like nice sparkly shimmers, which I do appreciate. I think that's more of her better formula in my opinion. I feel like that's where she should really kind of stick to, because it just like hits, when it hits the light, it's just so beautiful. I really do enjoy it. Now for me, I know some people out there are going to love this color story. This is going to be one of those perfect palettes that they can use every single day, whether they want to use it, you know, during the daytime or you spice it up at night. I think this is going to be a beautiful palette for so many people out there. I can see why she created this color story. Now for me personally, do I think it's worth it? No. I do not think it's worth it. I think I should have definitely saved my money and skipped out on this one, but I wanted to get it because I have so many for other palettes. I really do tend to enjoy her color stories and her palettes, but this one for me, I think is a safe pass. I don't think I definitely need to pick this up. I think I could have skipped it personally or just waited to the sale. Like the Sephora spring saving event is going to be coming right around the corner, and I feel like I could have picked it up then for 20% off versus paying the full price, but I don't think it's worth it. I think that if you love this type of color story, but you don't want to spend the money on it, I definitely gave you some alternatives so you can check with Colourpop. I also know that if you guys wait like a good 6 to 7 months, I'm pretty sure Alter Ego is going to do a dupe of this. They tend to dupe a lot of Natasha Denona palettes, but I feel like you could find this color story in so many different other palettes with like Colourpop. I'm sure so many other brands out there do something very similar. I don't think you necessarily need to have this. Formula is nice, but I just don't think it's worth it. And I don't know how other people feel. I have not watched any review because, well, I generally have not watched anyone's video because I've just been laying on the couch dead to the world. But I just don't feel like this is worth it to me. And that's just my opinion. If you love it, that's amazing. I support you. But for me, I think I could have definitely saved my money and got something else out of this instead. But here we are. So if you are wanting to pick this up, I recommend kind of just waiting. I think, like I said, this Sephora spring saving event's just around the corner. I think Natasha Denona is also sold at Ulta, and I know their 20 Days of Beauty coming. I don't know if this is going to be available but yeah, I would wait until there's a sale personally. So that is my review of the Bloom palette. Again, I am so sorry that I'm late. My body had other plans for me, and it was just the oddest feeling missing out on so much work. I did not know what to do with myself. It feels very weird. So with that said, guys, I'll make sure I link everything I'm wearing on my face down below. But what are your thoughts on this palette? Did you guys pick it up? Did you guys not? I want to hear your thoughts down below. So with that said, guys, that is it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure you guys give this video a cheeky thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you guys have not already. So I do post 3 to 4 videos every single week. Make sure you guys head over to my other channels, R for Life. You guys get to see my cool, wonderful adventures, my amazing husband, Corey. And as always, the biggest thank you goes these beautiful, wonderful page members you guys see right here. Thank you guys so much for everything. And to my subscribers and viewers, thank you guys so much for being here. Whether you guys like this video, you guys thumbs down this video, you guys subscribed, you guys did not subscribe, either way, thank you guys so much for being here. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. So with that said, guys, I love you, and I'll see you guys in the very next video.